good to see you today. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the next episode of Mykaela's Corner. I'm so glad to have you guys here today. Hope you're doing well, staying home, staying safe, and if you're venturing out into public now and starting to socialize, that you're doing it in a safe way. I sure miss you guys. For those of you at Lakeside, I miss seeing you guys every Sunday, but this is just going to have to do for the time being. So for today, we have a fun lesson, a fun craft, some books, you know, the works, the usual. But one thing about our lessons that's going to be changing is we were talking about Jesus' teachings. Before that, we were talking about Jesus healing, or he was doing miracles. And what I didn't realize was we're going back to miracles. This week, we're starting with miracles again. All the miracles we talked about previously were all about how Jesus healed people. And now we're going to be talking about miracles that he's performing, not about healing, but like cool things that he's going to do, which I don't want to spoil it for you. You're going to have to keep watching the next couple weeks to see what I mean. But if you go to church, I'm sure you've heard a lot of them before, but today we're going to the ocean, and that's my favorite place to go. I actually was just at the ocean last week. I went on a trip to Squim, Washington. It's a very sleepy town, very cute, but it's by the ocean, and the water was so beautiful, the sunsets and the mountains in the background. Ugh, I loved it. Anyway, today we're on the ocean. We're with Jesus and his disciples, and things are going cray. Let's get into it. Welcome to Bible time. I'm so glad you guys are here. So I had mentioned in the opening that we're with Jesus and we're with his disciples, and they're out on the ocean and things are getting cray. What do I mean by that? First, we got to go back a little bit. Jesus has been teaching all these different places about different parables we've talked about, but he's been teaching to lots and lots and lots of people. So our stories start. Jesus had spent all day talking to people, and he and the disciples were kind of like ready for a little break. So they decided to cross the Sea of Galilee. But some of the people from the crowds who had been there saw that they were leaving, and they thought, we can follow them around. So they followed along outside watching the boat go. While Jesus and his disciples traveled, Jesus fell asleep on the boat, and he decided to take a nap. Now, I'm sure if I was Jesus, that I would be exhausted from talking to people and healing and constantly being, on and like, hey, that I'm sure he was just so tired that didn't matter where he was ready to take a nap. But all of a sudden, a storm hit them. Now, here in Washington, we don't get crazy storms. Sometimes we get thunderstorms, and that's really exciting because they're so rare here. But when you're out in the ocean, or if you're in a different part of the world, storms can be so bad that they can be so scary. It's loud, the wind blows things around. We have, in parts of the US, we have tornadoes. Thankfully, we don't have those here. Earthquakes, all of those are kind of like different forms of storms. But here out on the ocean, they had no land to hold them or a house to keep them safe. They were just out on the waves when this giant storm came. And now they're fishermen, they're used to storms, but this one was so big, they were scared that they were all going to drown. So much water was coming into the boat that they were scared they were going to drown. Can you imagine being in a situation like that? I mean, I've been on a boat before, but only on a nice day. I don't want to be on a boat in a storm, let alone a storm so bad that they were really genuinely scared that they were going to drown. So while all the disciples were freaking out, they looked to Jesus because they were like, Jesus can help us, or I don't know, maybe he can help us, tighten the ropes or whatever, scoop water out of the boat. And they turned around, and guess what? Jesus was still sleeping. I don't know about you, but even when we have thunder here, that wakes me up and I'm like, oh, hey, we have thunder. Can you imagine being in a storm that probably had thunder, had waves crashing in? Maybe he was even getting wet, who knows? But he was still sleeping. That's how tired he was. My goodness, poor guy. The disciples decided to wake him up, and they were like, Jesus, please help us. We're so scared. We don't know what to do. The storm is raging. If we don't do something, we're gonna drown. And Jesus opened his eyes, and he saw that the disciples were afraid. And so he got up, and they were probably all like, where are you going? Jesus, what? And he walked to the edge of the boat, and he looked out at the storm. Now, I don't know about you, but if I was in the middle of the sea in a storm, I would not be going to the edge of the boat. I'd be scared of falling over. But Jesus walked up to the edge of the boat, and all he did was say 3 words. Yes, 3 words. Silence. Be still. That was it. Silence. be still. Do you know what happened? As soon as he said those words, the waves stopped, the rain stopped, the thunder stopped, the storm stopped, and everything calmed down. Can you imagine how cool that must have been to experience that, to see that? The disciples, man, those were lucky guys to be able to spend that time with Jesus and see him perform these cool miracles. 3 words, you guys, that's all he had to say. Silence. Be still. So cool. At the sound of Jesus' voice, the waves stopped, the storm stopped and went away, and he turned back to the disciples. And he looked at them all, and you know what he asked them? Why are you afraid? Because they thought they were gonna die. But they forgot that they had Jesus, and all these times that they've seen him do miracles, they never thought like maybe Jesus could save us. They just were scared. They didn't have that peace knowing that Jesus was with them and that they were going to be all right. And Jesus had to constantly remind even his disciples that when you're scared, when things are going crazy, when your world seems like it's ending, all the way down to like little things like getting a little paper cut. Oh, so annoying. From the small to the big, we sometimes forget that Jesus is right there with us and that everything will be okay and that he's there to help us. And the disciples obviously were just amazed at everything. And they were like, who is this guy? Obviously, he's from God. He is God. He's the Son of God. And we wonder why Jesus had to do all these miracles back in the day. Why would he choose to do that and draw all this attention to him? And it's because he wanted to show people that he was God's son and that he was God at the same time. He is fully God, fully man. It's crazy. Our minds just can't comprehend that because we're human. But that's the truth. God is fully God, or Jesus is fully God, fully man. And he was able to stop that storm. And he can stop any storm that's happening. Whether that be an actual storm with rain and thunder, or like a kind of storm where, you're just feeling sad inside. That can be like an internal storm. He can be there to help calm that as well. And when we're afraid, we just need to remember that he's there with us and that he has a plan and that we are going to be saved. Now, I've got a little bit of an object lesson here. I don't know if you've noticed my things I've got here to kind of show a little fun way of how Jesus can calm storms in our lives. So let's get a closer look. Okay, so for my object lesson, what we're going to do is I'm going to pour this milk in, and this is going to represent, in our story, the ocean, but in our lives, the different, it just kind of represents our life. All right, so here we've got our ocean of life, the ocean in the story. Look at all these bubbles. Boop, boop. And this is going to represent some troubles in our lives. For them, it was the storm in the story. 1, 2, 3. And for us, it can represent problems in our lives. For example, it could represent sin. It could just represent something that's out of our control. But basically what we've got here is we've got our ocean, and then we've got these things that happen in our lives that can create storms inside of us. And it also represents the storm from our story. So this, our Q-tip, I'm just going to swirl it around. So we did a really basic version of this in a really early craft in one of our earlier videos, but I'm using it as our object lesson. So in life, we have these problems that sometimes they can swirl and feel like we're getting out of control. See here how they kind of mix together and they swirl, and it makes it look very stormy. To them, in the story, this is like the crazy ocean. This is the crazy waves. It's eking everywhere. It's scary. It kind of looks beautiful. But you get what I mean here. Each dot kind of represented something small, but then when it gets stirred up, when it gets crazy, it mixes all together and it feels like life can be out of control. But here, when we remember that we have Jesus, and Jesus is represented by our dish soap, we put a little bit on a Q-tip, and when we stick it in the middle, let's see what happens. Ta-da! Jesus calms the storms. He calms the storms inside of us. Now you can see that there's still swirls. Life still happens. But when we remember Jesus, it's not as crazy. It's not as hard to do the things that we need to do in life. Life is still messy, but with Jesus, we can handle it and we don't have to be afraid. And with that, let's move on to our craft. I have another fun oceany themed craft. Here we go. Welcome to Craft Time. Today we are going to be making a boat on a stormy sea. So how we're going to do that is we're going to be painting with bubbles, which I'm super excited about. So these are the things you're going to need for our craft. We've got dish soap, some food coloring. Now I have two different kinds of blue. You might just have one at home, but I'm also going to add in green because in the ocean, this is going to represent our ocean, just like in our object lesson. We've got some blue, and I think the ocean has a lot of green in it. So I've got blue and green. I've got dishes for each color. And then you'll also need a straw, a marker, a glue stick, jumping out, and some scissors. We also will need a little bit of water to mix with our soap. So I've got a little tea kettle here off to the side that has my water in it, because we're going to be making soapy water. But you'll also need some paper. We're going to be creating our boat with 3 colors of paper. Now if you want to do it all one, that's great. What I had at home was I'm running out of colored paper, so I had a scrap of red, some yellow, and some green. So this is what I'm going to use to create my boat, which I'm going to set to the side for now. Blah, blah, blah. And then this is going to be my background. This is where we're going to paint with bubbles and create our stormy background. So one thing I suggest is that you either have a tray like this, or you do it by the sink, or maybe even outside if it's a nice day for you to do it. Okay, so I'm gonna actually save the bubbles for last, and I'm gonna get our pieces ready for our boat. So let's take this white paper, set it to the side. And I'm gonna start with my sail. We're gonna make a sailboat. And for our sailboat, you just need a triangle. So I'm gonna take my marker here, and I'm gonna cut just a triangle at the bottom. I'm gonna make my triangle, and I'm gonna make it really easy by cutting diagonally on my paper like that. So then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut this part out. The nice thing about our boat is it's just shapes. We don't have to get crazy. Now, if you're at home and you want to really elaborate your boat, you can decorate it, you can make it however you want. You could cut out little people to add to it. Honestly, it's up to you. I'm just showing you the really basic way to make it. So this is going to be our pole that holds our sail up. So I'm just going to cut off, I just need a small rectangle. So I just drew a little line in and then a long line down. And then I'm going to cut on that line there. So put my marker to the side, take my scissors, do one cut here. And then, be careful of my fingers, going to cut down this blue line I made. And then I always flip it over so you don't see my marker parts. And then now we need the bottom of the boat. So here we go. We've got our sail so far. It kind of looks like a flag, which kind of is. Like a sail does kind of look like a flag. But now for the bottom of our boat, we just need half of a circle. So if you draw a circle, and you drew a line in the middle, we just need half of that. You could make 2 boats, I guess, with this. But now I'm going to cut out my half circle. I'm going to cut all around, making sure to watch out for my fingers. Alright, set that to the side. And now, just straight down the middle. Boop, 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 boop. Flip it over, and ta-da! Now I have my boat. So I don't need my scissors anymore or my marker. So I'm going to set that to the side. So now when it comes time, we're going to glue on our boat by putting down the stick first. I'm going to put this on top like that. And we have our sail. Ta-da! Now we have our boat. Okay, now for the fun part. We've got our pieces ready, so we'll set these to the side for when our ocean is done. So now you're going to get your white piece of paper, put it on your tray or wherever you have your clean spot. Actually, I'm going to do my soapy water first. So I'm going to set that right here. And I'm going to make 3 bowls of soapy colored water. Now, the more food coloring you put into here, the stronger your bubbles will show up. So I'm going to do quite a bit. I did this once with my preschool, and I didn't add enough food coloring, so it was really, really, really faint. But you might like it that way, and that's great. But I want it to be stormy and bold. So I'm going to put in quite a few drops to almost cover the bottom of my little dish here. That's good. like this. Bloop. All right, and then I'm going to do my 2 different blue colors. All right, enough of that. Now we're going to take our soap. Oops. Now we're going to take our soap and pour it in here. And we just need enough to make bubbles. So I'm going to do a good pour. Like that. And then I'm going to take my water and just add a little bit of water to each one to make my bubble solution. Now if you have bubbles at home, I didn't have bubbles at home, so I had to make my own bubbles. But if you have bubbles at home, you can absolutely use it for this project, and you just add food coloring to your bubbles, which would be great. So now I'm going to take my straw and I'm just going to stir it all together. All right, now we are ready. So I'm going to set these very carefully to the side here. It smells good. My soap here at home is lavender. It's a new one. We've never had it before, and I'm excited about it. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to take your straw, and you're going to dip it into one of your colors. You're going to hold it over your paper, and it's okay if it drips on here. You're going to blow a bubble. Ta-da! Can you guys see that? I'm going to hold it closer so you can see. You can see that it's creating a bubble design. If you get really close, you can see that kind of splatters. It kind of creates this cool swirling design. All right, I'm gonna fill up my paper and then we'll get back to doing our boat. All right, I think that's gonna do it. You can go crazy and add as many as you want, but this is gonna be mine for now. I love it, it's so fun looking. Okay, now we're gonna take our glue stick and we're gonna add our boat from our story on our stormy sea. So first, I'm gonna take my red. I'm gonna scooch this towards you a little bit so you can see up here where I'm doing my gluing. And I'm going to, oh, my cap is on tight. There we go. I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna do a line of glue on the back. And then I'm gonna stick it kind of in the middle, like this. Now your paper is gonna be wet from your bubbles if you really went crazy like I did. And that's okay, you just keep it still, we'll gently put it on top. But I used, instead of pushing with my finger, I used my nail to drag my paper down so that way it sticks with the glue. All right, now I'm gonna do the bottom. I'm gonna flip it over, do my glue. Boop, 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 boop. And then we're gonna put it kind of about half, a little bit less than halfway up on your red line like this. This is a good sized boat for our paper. I'm happy with it. And now we're gonna take our sail, pull this so you can see it, our sail, and glue that on. How do I want this to go? I want it to go like this, aha! Use your brain. And then stick it on. So you want the line, the point to go up and follow the line like that. And there you go. And there's our boat on our stormy sea. How fun is that? I hope you guys enjoyed doing this one at home and making bubbles. I always love anything that has to do with bubbles. So I hope you enjoy and that this is a good reminder that even though when life can get crazy and stormy, that God is right there and Jesus is with us to keep us safe and to love us. All right, on to our stories. Bear Feels Scared by Karma Wilson and Jane Chapman. Bear feels scared. In the deep dark woods by the strawberry vale, a big bear lumbers down a small crooked trail. Bear's tummy growls as he looks for a snack, but it's cold, 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 so the bear turns back. And the bear feels scared. Bear shakes and he shivers as a storm starts to howl. Bear mutters, "What is that? Are those spooks on the prowl?" The path gets dimmer and the sky grows gray. Bear looks to and fro, but he can't find his way. He huddles by a tree and he wails, "For me!" And the bear feels scared. Meanwhile, back in the warm, cozy lair, Friend starts to worry for their poor lost bear. "It is late," Mouse squeaks, "and our bear doesn't roam." "That's a storm," cries Hare. "Shouldn't Bear be home?" Wren tweets from his perch, "We must all go search. What if Bear feels scared?" The friends bundle up and begin to prepare. They form a search party for their lost friend Bear. But Bear is all alone and he sheds big tears. There's a noise in the forest and he feels big fears. Bear trembles in the wind. How he longs for a friend. And the bear feels scared. Badger lights a lamp and he shouts, "Let's go!" And all the birds search high while the rest search low. With a flounce and a flutter, they set off together. They trudge down the trail through the wild, wet weather. They call, "Ho, Bear, are you there? Are you there?" And the bear feels scared. But he perks up his ears. Is it Mole calling out? And is that Hare's voice? Does Bear hear him shout? Wren, Owl, and Raven all squawk from the sky. "It's Bear! He's here!" And they sigh big sighs. By a tree waits Bear 10 feet from his lair, and the bear looks scared. With a flap and a flurry, all the friends gather near. They give him bear hugs. They calm all but his bear fears. Later in the night, all clustered in a heap, the bear spins stories while his friends fall asleep. Cuddled up tight, they snore through the night, and the bear feels safe. The end. The Big Umbrella by Amy June Bates. By the front door, there is an umbrella. It is big. It is big, friendly umbrella. It likes to help. It likes to spread its arms wide. It loves to give shelter. It loves to gather people in. It doesn't matter if you are tall. or hairy. Or plaid. It doesn't matter how many legs you have. Some people worry that there won't be enough room under the big umbrella. But the amazing thing is, there is. There is always room. The end. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been so great having you guys. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you learned that even though life can be crazy and life can throw us storms, that Jesus is there to help calm us, calm the storm when the time is right, and that He's always there to protect us and to love us. And I hope you guys know that you are loved, not only by God, but by me and by your church family. We miss you, and we hope that you are doing well and that you're staying safe. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. I love you, I miss you, and I'll see you next week. Bye!